I'm Jason Grieves. Can everyone hear me? Is it picking up all right? Wonderful.
I'm Rachel Berger.
We're going to do a couple, well, we have an option. We can do 100 slides in 20 minutes, or we can do demos. I think it was slides, right? That's what I think they said demos, so I think we should do demos. So I think Rachel's going to kick off on, what are you doing,
We're going to do demos for you today. My specialty is in learning tools, and more specifically, Immersive Reader. And my field is in the area of learning differences, dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia.
Awesome.
Jason?
And then I'm going to switch over to doing Windows. So I'm on the Windows accessibility team up in sunny Seattle these days, and I'll be showing a lot of our low vision accessibility features.
Sounds good.
All
Let's
right.
start. Okay. So I'm going to start out in OneNote Desktop. How many of you guys are familiar with OneNote Desktop? Hey, that's a great show of hands. A couple years ago, I might have gotten like just a couple. How many of you guys actually use it? Of those of you that are familiar with it, how many use it? Okay, pretty good. Cool. So we're starting out in OneNote Desktop, and I'm going to show you how we get information in there for those of you that might not be familiar. So we use the Insert tab, and we go to File, and this will pull up anything on your computer. I always liken this to showing people my closet, which is very disorganized. So we close that up. Anyway, you can pull files from your computer. Word is the perfect type of file you're going to want to drop into here. And so once you do that, you can go to the View tab and then click on this button here called Immersive Reader. Now what that's going to do is it's going to pop a skin over top of your page and enable that text-to-speech option. How are you guys hearing me with the background there? I tend to be a quiet speaker, so up, okay. You guys turn the volume up on me in the back, or is that over here? Okay, I'll try to be loud. Okay, so now we have a skin popped over top of the page here, and we can push the play button at the bottom and we get our text to speech. And so I'm going to show you what that sounds like.
The Closet Creature by Kelly Hashway. Bump, bump, scratch.
So all the while it's highlighting the text, it's reading aloud. We have a computer-generated voice, but is pretty good in terms of a computer-generated voice. If you've used speech-to-text before, like Learning Ally or Bookshare, you notice that there's differences in those types of text-to-speech, and I think this is really great. We have the capability to change our voice speed and our voice settings, because not everyone prefers to process information in the same manner. So we have all of these tools built in that enable the user to personalize how they want to consume that content. And going along the lines of not all of us preferring to consume content in the same manner, we can start with text preferences. I don't know about you guys, but I can't read that small print. And mainly because I'm in denial that I need some glasses. So I can increase the text sizing here to whatever I prefer. And then if you're like one of my sons who's dyslexic, he uses the increased spacing feature right here. And that tells him, these are his words, that tells me to slow down. So then he actually remembers the content that he's reading when he gets to the end of the page, when he has things opened up like that. We have font choices because, again, believe it or not everyone prefers to consume content in the same type font or even the same background color. So these background colors were created based off of the original Erlin overlays for a small percentage of the population that struggles with something called convergence insufficiency. And whether it's something like convergence insufficiency, eye strain, or low vision, you have options here to choose to alter how you want to look at the text on paper. But even more, under our grammar options, we've got parts of speech, we've got syllableification, so we could have our words broken into syllables, all the while it's highlighting the text and reading that aloud.
Adam opened his eyes and pulled the covers up to.
Okay, so you can see it does that. We can highlight our nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. And you'll notice that now I'm highlighting my nouns in blue, but the background color is blue, so that's kind of a conflict. So I can go in here and change the color so that it doesn't conflict as much, and I can see it better. So all of those things are available at your fingertips. What I like is that no one can turn on or off these features and control these. You are the individual who gets to choose how they work. And you don't have to prove that you have a disability, IEP 504, or a need to utilize these. They're just built in, they're there, and you have the capability to determine what you would like to use. So let's go under our reading preferences. This is line focus mode. Because believe it or not, not everyone prefers to read all of their, or look at all of their content. That can be very distracting for some of us. So we can drop down our line focus mode from the full page to 5 to 3 to even just one line. Again, all based upon the preferences of the individual. One of my favorite features here is picture dictionary. So we can click on a word and we get a photograph that pops up to help us comprehend or create meaning for that word. My kids think this one is funny. They tease me that it's Mom in the morning. Only when I'm in motivation speaking mode. Anyway, and our latest feature is Translate. So we can take the document. We have anywhere up to 65 different languages to choose from. We could choose to change just a word or an entire document with a click of a button.
The closet creature de Kelia Sway. Golpe. Golpe.
It might be a little bit hard to hear in this busy exhibition hall, but you get the idea. And the neat thing is then Picture Dictionary also follows. And you'll see at the top here, I can toggle between both the original version and the Spanish version, so I can go back and forth. So I've got a high school senior who's found out, he doesn't have any learning differences, but he's found a great use for this in learning his Spanish. So he'll use it in the English version and in the Spanish version and have it read aloud, and he's retaining a lot more information that way. So no matter what the use is or the reasons why you use them, all of these tools are there at your fingertips. So that was in a nutshell where we access the tools in OneNote Notebook. I use the desktop version. You can also use the online version. And we're going to look at a couple other areas where you'll find these tools. So how many of you, I think you can see my toolbar at the bottom here, how many of you guys use Edge browser as your main search engine? Not enough. Come on, guys. Well, I'm going to show you why you want to make Edge browser your dominant search engine. And hey, I'm guilty as charged. You can see the spinning wheel down there, or that colorful wheel of Google. But I find Edge browser to be completely amazing, and I utilize it. It's actually now my dominant search engine. So we're in a mainstream internet search here, and I've pulled up it's Tween Tribune. I love this website for its content in terms of K-12 content for students, all sorts of different topics, and they even Lexile level the reading. So, okay, let's assume that I'm an individual who might be wanting to access our Immersive Reader, and I'm doing a mainstream internet search. And so what I'm going to do is, you'll notice up in my toolbar here I have a book, and it's in bold. What I can do is click on that, and that's going to give me a reading view. It's going to wipe out all of the ads. And so then I can just simply click on our read aloud, and it's
map shines a spotlight on women's cultural contributions in Paris.
So then I'll get the read aloud, and I have that text to speech, which we demonstrated in OneNote just a minute ago. You'll notice up here to the right, I've got pause, play, skip ahead, skip back, and then here this my speed and my voice controls. But even better than that, and again, we're in mainstream internet search here. Now you can see that I've got learning tools, which again, I was showing you in OneNote Desktop. I can utilize my reading preferences and drop down how much I want to focus on the text there. I can change my grammar tools, so I can break the words into syllables or highlight parts of speech, just like I showed you in OneNote. And I can also change my text options, so the text spacing, the text sizing, and even our background colors. All of those things are built in. Sorry, I can't look at that. That's really bright. All those things are built in right there at the touch of a button and just at our fingertips to be able to ensure that we have access to text in the way that we want to personally utilize it. Okay, so that is Edge browser and why you want to utilize Edge browser as your search engine. How many of you guys use Microsoft Word? Okay, a lot of you. So, yep. Microsoft Word also has these tools built in and at your fingertips. So let's go ahead to, all right. So we're in Word Online, and my purpose for showing it to you in the online version is that, one, it's available in desktop, but it's also in online version. So those of you that might not be using a Windows-based computer, you can access all of these tools in the online versions of OneNote and Word as well. So we would go to the View tab, similarly to what we would do in OneNote. And under the View tab, we've got that Immersive Reader button. Again, It's popping a skin over top of the page. And you'll notice that just like I was in OneNote, the page was blue and we had the yellow highlighting. That's because these sync up and they have memory. So it's assuming that the way that I set up that text when I was in OneNote is the way that I prefer to consume my content all of the time. So again, we've got our text preferences. We can increase our text sizing. We've got spacing, our font, our background colors. Under our grammar options, we've got our highlighting of parts of speech and our syllableification. And then under our reading view, we've got our line focus modes, our picture dictionary, and our translator. So I know I'm moving really quickly because we have a set number of minutes we're presenting to you today. And so we're condensing what's normally an hour-long presentation into a couple of minutes here. I want to show you one more feature that I really love in terms of accessing text-to-speech and using both Word Online, OneNote, and Immersive Reader. So that's going to require me to pop up a PowerPoint slide very quickly here. So we're going to talk about Office Lens. Have any of you heard of it, or do any of you currently utilize Office Lens? Good, okay. So let's look at this photograph here. This is what Office Lens looks like. This is an app that was created by Microsoft. You can get for free in the App Store, and it works with any Android, iPad, and iPhone. And I think that's the current list. I'm assuming that they're adding more on a regular basis like they typically do. Okay, so that's a video of it playing.
Move up.
You know what, we don't need the sound on this video, so I'm going to explain what's happening. Okay, so what Office Lens does is it snaps a photograph of any text that you might want to read, so like any of the documents in front of you, and then it runs OCR, which is optical character recognition, and then enables you with text-to-speech, as you see in this last bit right here. So you simply have the quick, easy capability to use your device. Oftentimes, think about our students, individuals out there in the workplace or even at college, they've got a device on their person more often than not, always, right? And so it quickly and easily enables them that capability to do text-to-speech and ear read that content. And one of the things I'm going to quickly show you in my OneNote notebook before we leave is how we removed those roadblocks with one of my sons. So oftentimes, as is common, when a student with dyslexia is at school and processing information all day long, let's make sure this is following, okay, is he comes home fatigued from processing information. And even though he doesn't struggle to read anymore, he's perfectly grade level proficient, by the end of the day, he's just done. And at the same rate, we still have to complete our homework. And so my option for my son at that time is, well, do you want to sight read the text or would you like to ear read? And so right here's an example of us using Office Lens. We snap the photo, and then he can put it in the OneNote notebook, or he can utilize the device that he has on him probably 24/7 by simply clicking Immersive Reader. Now, remember, it has that memory, so it's showing us the way that we last did this. But then picture dictionary and everything, let's see if we get something here, immediately follows. There we go. It's just all built in, right at your fingertips immediately. So that's another way that we can utilize Immersive Reader and access text. And one more quickie before I change over to allowing Jason to demonstrate is the other great thing that Office Lens does is you'll see with this example. Here's another roadblock we will remove for my student, my son, is with Office Lens you can also, once you've snapped the photo, up in the right-hand corner you'll see three little icons, and one of those is a large T, which means text box. And you can overlay a text box on top of a worksheet and then use the dictation feature on your phone or your iPad and dictate the answers. So in the case of my son here, he was struggling to complete the worksheet because as a dyslexic and a dysgraphic, getting the content out of his head onto paper and then the manual task of writing is very difficult. So we removed that roadblock there, and that's possible through Office Lens as well. All right, so that's a nutshell of the information we have on Office Lens and Immersive Reader and the places that you will find access to it. Now Jason has some wonderful things for you.
Let's do it. I'm going to put this back on.
Okay.
So, I was born with a visual impairment, and so I have reduced vision, permanent visual acuity loss, as well as light sensitivity. So I'm going to spend the 5 minutes just setting Rachel's computer up so that it would be great for me to use. The very first thing is I need to get to ease of access. Have folks been to ease of access before in Windows 10? Couple hands maybe? I can't see very well, so I'm assuming a couple people put their hands up. So there's a couple ways to get there. The way I want to show you is we saw people actually going into the start menu and searching for things. They were looking for bigger text or larger fonts or bigger mouse pointers. And they would search, and in the past they would get no results. But now, if I type the word bigger, we actually bring the options to you right within the start menu. So if I go to this area, this is going to launch our settings experience, and specifically, it's launching our ease of access center. And before I show the feature that I need to turn on to see it very well, I just want to describe what's going on with the menus here. On the left-hand side, we group all of our accessibility options together by ability type. So we have vision, we have hearing, and we have interaction. And I'm not going to be able to demo all of these, but I'm happy to, after this, show you more demos. And we can also stop by our booth, and we're happy to show you some of these things. But the first thing I love to do to make the computer easier for me to see is make my text size bigger. We come over here, and I'm going to increase the size of this slider to go really large text. And here, the sample text has gotten really big, and I'm going to press the button. What the application's doing now is it's setting the text size consistently across that in different applications. It's also setting that in the operating system. So clearly the settings experience, the text got bigger. Places like Start Menu, places like your time when you go to look at that, Control Center where all your notifications are. So this is great. Now I can start to see the text without getting my nose on the screen. But the next thing I wanted to show was a way to make the mouse pointer a little easier to see. So in addition to grouping these settings together, we also try to bring the most useful settings towards the top. And so in this case, we have a page, cursor and pointer. And we now have a lot new sizes with our mouse pointers. We used to have some old ones that were, I used to say small, smaller, and smallest. Now you can make your mouse pointer very large. For me, that's a little too big, so I kind of bring it down just a bit. So now I've made my mouse pointer bigger, so it is easier to see, but I still have a bit of a problem. My friend Chris talked about this as losing his mouse pointer in a sea of white and black. And I thought that was the perfect way to describe this problem. So we've introduced new mouse pointer colors. So this fourth option has a set of colors here. We've actually picked really nice bright highlight colors, but we heard a lot of feedback that these may not work great for everyone. So we have a way to pick your own custom color. And this is where I want to pause and tell a story about my son as well. I was using this experience at home because it works for me, and I had my son in my lap. We were watching Paw Patrol. Any Paw Patrol fans? Come on, yeah. Marshall for the win. My son Tommy said, why is the pointy thing, why is it yellow? And so I got on my soapbox. Well, Dad has a hard time seeing, and this is something that Dad's team built. He's not listening. He's like, I want to make it pink because Tommy's favorite color is pink. So we came in here and we picked Tommy's favorite color, pink. And so when you do that, it changes the mouse pointer to that color. What I love about this is my son doesn't have a visual impairment. He just loves the color pink. This is one of those experiences where we think we've done a great job building something that's fun and personalizing your computer for each of us. So in Tommy's case, when he comes to a computer, he can change it to pink. And if he has a friend that has a visual impairment, they can have it any color they want. And so it's an example of what we call inclusive design, where we're trying to build tools as non-stigmatizing. I have 30 seconds. I want to show one more low vision feature that we're really excited about. We've been working on our magnifier for a long time, but most recently, I'm going to turn it on here. Most recently, we've worked on building ways to make it easier to type and easier to use the mouse pointer. So if I move my mouse pointer, folks used magnifier before? If you haven't, this might be a little disconcerting, but basically I've zoomed in on my screen and I'm moving my mouse everywhere and I tend to lose it because it's in different places. It's not even on the screen right now. And so what I can do now is I can actually keep the mouse pointer centered on the screen. This helps for two big reasons. First, no longer is the screen moving, the mouse pointer is moving everywhere, and that's great for me, but I have friends with peripheral vision loss. And so for them, now the mouse pointer is stuck right there in the middle of the screen, and it's much easier for them to use the computer. Those are the three I wanted to show. There's a lot more. my timer is buzzing on my wrists, and so I think it's time for us to go. But we'd be happy to continue to chat. Yeah, Rachel.
A couple of things I want to direct you guys to is firstly, our booth 207, 209. We'd love to talk to you more, specifically answer any questions or help you personalize with some of your own devices. But also a couple of great websites I'd like you guys to think about in the future here. Firstly, we have, it's really big for me to look at, the tech community, the Microsoft tech community. Any of these are inclusive webinars for reading, writing, math, and communication. And you can do these from the comfort of your own home and learn about all of the different tools we have built in there. So this is, again, Microsoft Tech Community, so techcommunity.microsoft.com. Another place I'd like you to think about and bookmark is what we call the MEC. So that's the Microsoft Educator Community. We have all sorts of great content on here for free for you to utilize and access so that you can learn more about the different tools and features that we have built in for education. And lastly, under education.microsoft.com, there's a ton of links here on Inclusive Classroom and different websites and features to bookmark. So all these things built in for you. If I went really quickly on that, you're certainly welcome to stop by the booth and we'll show you those things again.
Thank you all very much.